Ajay Peets.
Cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Ajay Peets, and this is Bermuda Youth Connect. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Robert King, the OBA candidate for Constituency 10 in Smiths North. But before we dive in to our conversation, a vital reminder. The by-election for Constituency 10 is scheduled for Wednesday, May 22nd, and it's just around the corner. If you are a resident of Constituency 10, I encourage you to check with the Bermuda Parliamentary Registry to ensure that you are registered to vote. This is your chance to shape the future of your community, and every vote counts. For those who haven't yet registered, even if you're not in Constituency 10, there's no better time than now to register. Your voice matters and is crucial to make it heard. So on May 22nd, make sure to cast your ballot. Robert King, thank you so much for joining me. So before we get started, do you have any plans for this upcoming Bermuda Day holiday?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I think it's incredible the fact that the youth are interested in politics, seeing how they can get involved and get their voices heard. Regarding May 24th, it's going to be spent with family. I mean, it's been it's been a long slog being on the campaign trail, so it'll be nice just to spend it quietly with friends and family, not doing too much, but just relaxing and enjoying hopefully nice weather.
Oh, yes. I think last year it was pouring during the holiday, so it would be nice to catch a break and have some good weather this time around.
Absolutely.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what encouraged you to get involved in politics?
What it encouraged me to get involved in politics, more so than encouragement, but it was almost a calling, a burning desire to be of service to the community. It came about because of my work in the criminal justice system, working with persons who are on parole, probation, or going before the courts, and having done that for about 30 years or so. And what I found is that the systems that were there to protect and to provide avenues for them to address interpersonal conflicts were not operating efficiently. Despite repeated efforts on my programs team, I mean, shout out to Shanae, Terry, Doc Prince, and my other mentors, it became very difficult within the existing structures to get the people who needed the help most, the help they needed most. So I came to the realization that if you want to change a system, sometimes you have to accept the fact that you can go so far and do so much within it. You can sit on the sidelines and complain, or you can take the risk and, go above to the legislative branch to make meaningful change in terms of policies and laws that will direct departments to do certain types of work. So that was the reason why it was basically a moment of epiphany that, okay, this is the logical next step.
I think so, and that was a leap of faith for sure. I think for
Absolutely.
anybody getting involved in politics, it's a new avenue compared to whatever you did previously because you're in the public eye in such a huge and profound way.
Yes.
So hats off to you to making that leap of faith and wanting to take charge and make a mark in your community.
Thank you so
So
much.
what was no problem. So what was the atmosphere like on the day of advanced polling? Were you able to connect with any voters from C-10?
On polling day, advanced polling day, the people that I saw advanced polling were people that I'd seen 2 or 3 times before when I was walking from Foothills to Commonland Point Road and vice versa, and in the street and at restaurants or shops or whatever. So it felt very familiar. I felt encouraged that they were there because I know that we had conversations that were, of quality. And I know that I made a commitment to them, regardless of outcome, that I will do my best for the community. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. And they also expressed a yes, they would come out to vote and they were there. So it gave me a boost. It was a long day, it was 12 hours, but it gave me a boost.
That's amazing. and it was a pleasure to come stop by and to meet with you and just
Yeah.
to feel the energy myself. So I saw on social media that you mentioned that you had some opportunities to canvas with Michael Dunkley. What was it
Yes.
like canvassing alongside Michael Dunkley prior to his retirement, and in what ways has it equipped you for this by-election?
Well, in terms of canvassing with Michael Dunkley, we've been doing that since I want to say January. We've been, talking about things beforehand. He just, because we understood that maybe he'll be retired, but nobody actually knew. What struck me about Michael was the fact that he was genuinely connected to the community. The common thread that went through it is when we were talking to persons on both sides, they were saying that he was a consistent presence in the community, not just at election time. When he was taking me through the constituencies, he would be able to tell me about the problems that this person had, how he was able to address those concerns, how he, looked out for the seniors that were in the community, and talked about the need for me, if I genuinely care about these people and want to make a difference, you have to be consistent. You have to listen to their concerns, but more importantly, do something about it. And what struck me is that, when he was picking somebody to be a successor, I have many of those same qualities and characteristics. So it felt very familiar to me. And it felt like this was the perfect constituency for me to be involved with, because I agreed with his philosophy, his commitment, his passion for the community. So that resonated with me. And I felt like I was coming home.
That's amazing. I'm happy that you found a home within this community and that you feel very genuine to actually make a difference. That's
Absolutely.
greatly needed in any leader. So appealing to young voters can be very challenging due to various factors like shifting priorities and also skepticism towards politics. What specific strategies do you plan to implement to effectively connect and engage with this demographic?
I think this interview today is part of that. I've spoken to my One Bermuda Alliance family about the need to have young persons become aware of the power of their vote. I mean, we grew up, I mean, my generation, before cell phones, et cetera, you don't want to hear all that. But the point is, the way we did things, completely different from the way things are done now. In terms of communication flow, top down, whereas now it's it's 360, and it should be that way, because the people who are most impacted by the decisions in the old days did not have a say in how policies and procedures that directly impacted on them. They didn't have any say in that, and that's not right, because the wealth of information in terms of how to reach the youth needs to come from the youth. I've made a deliberate effort, a conscious effort, sorry, that when I'm out canvassing, I always ask who else is in the house, whether the person is of voting age or not, because everything that we do as well, the legislators and potential legislators, impacts on the whole community. So we need to understand how our actions impact on those. Yesterday, when I was out canvassing on Home Point Drive, there was a young child there. I guess she would have been about 8 years old. And she was talking, I was asking her, spoke to the parent first about adult concerns, essentially, and general. And then I spoke to her and I said, tell me what it's like to be a kid nowadays. Can you tell me about your best day at school and your not so great day at school? And she talked about bullying. And I said, wow, to myself. It really struck me, the fact that you've got a kid that's talking about getting bullied on a regular basis. So that struck me as as a need that we need to do something for these kids to make sure that they're protected so that they can get the education that they require to become successful and independent persons. The other thing that struck me too about this child was how courageous she was to actually share that. And number two, she has excellent communication with her family. So her uncle, who I was speaking to then, knew about it. I asked her, were the teachers helping? And she said, somewhat, but it's still occurring every day. And in terms of one of my skills is I teach conflict resolutions, for conflict resolution for adults, for adolescents, and for children. It can be adapted as well. So I know that I can make a meaningful change in terms of in the constituency and larger, we can actually do something purposeful to address bullying in schools because we know the impact, child development, and beyond.
I think that's so amazing that you were able to connect with her in that way. And I think that it's a very big misconception that a lot of young people and even children aren't really aware of, these kinds of issues. And we are very much aware and it does affect us on a daily basis. So I think
Yeah,
it is something that she will not forget, that
yeah,
connection
and
that
neither
she
will
had
I,
with her.
because definitely it connected me to generationally our responsibility and the need for us to resource them. So yeah, absolutely. It was an
Amazing.
amazing and powerful moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving forward, some would say that this was a controversial statement. You highlighted that many feel their needs aren't being addressed by a Black government and a Black civil service. Why did you choose to emphasize the racial composition of the government and the civil service?
Yeah. What I was pointing out was this, and I've said it repeatedly. It was basically shining a mirror up to the person. So the person sees people who look just like him or her. So then if that's the case, why is it that I'm overrepresented in prison if the government is saying this is what it is? Racial comment, if you choose to take it out of context, it's racial, black and white. Basically, Black government, Black civil service, Black prisoners, Black criminal justice system, Black persons. Interestingly enough, on Friday, Minister Keynes was speaking about the Black government with one white person in there. So would that be considered a racial comment as well?
Oh, I think that's up for interpretation, but I do appreciate your
Exactly.
clarification.
No, no, no. What I mean is, so when you're looking at the context of it and who
Right.
is actually making the statement, I think sometimes the meaning of what was said is is misconstrued because it benefits a certain narrative.
Right.
That's all I'll say to that. What I will have people understand is that I have worked in the criminal justice system for many years, and when I'm making those comments, it's from the perspective of the clients whom I was working with and continue to, well, up until recently, worked with. It was not to disparage anybody. What it was meant to do was to say, if we say we are, well, then we must take responsibility for that. The end. And by taking responsibility, we will do meaningful things to change the dynamics, to change the result. That's the point I was making.
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarification. It was a question that needed to be asked, and
Sure.
I do appreciate you for being opening to answering. So my
Absolutely.
next, yes. So my next question is, you've mentioned that the residents of Smiths Norris are tired of lip service and are looking for tangible solutions. Can you provide specific examples of how you plan to prioritize and address critical issues such as the road maintenance and vegetation overgrowth if elected?
Well, number one, I'm looking at what the pressing issues are. So I put it in terms of health and safety, economics, and also environment. You know, in terms of health and safety, Bridal Hill, we've talked about that. Making sure that ambulances can get up the hill, to me, would be the number one priority. The end. We don't need to say anything more about that. Education, making sure that children have opportunities to become doctors, lawyers, actuaries, and also tradespersons, artists, dancers, athletes, so that they have three, potentially four tracks, which are equally resourced because they are all meaningful and valuable to them. They have value to us in the community. And this was shared with me when I was canvassing Valley Heights area. And like I said, whenever there's an opportunity to speak to a young person, I will take it because there's a treasure trove of information. Who better to talk to about the educational experience and what's needed? About a month ago, I went to a leadership convocation that I think was Sandy De Silver. She put a cohort together with mentors from, I think Miras was there, I think Outward Bound, a few other, the police, a few other people. And the point is, the kids were saying they wanted to understand why school rules didn't make sense. So if I'm demonstrating poor behavior, then you kick me out of school, but you want me to get an education. That doesn't make sense to me. The rules need to make sense. They need to be relevant. They need to make the necessary, invite the necessary change, and at the same time, encourage us to get our education. So, like I said, the future voters are affected by what we do to them now in terms of engagement with current systems. How we treat them, we need to treat them with the same respect and have the same expectations that we would have for ourselves, and own up to the fact that we've been failing them as well and do something about it.
Wow. So, regarding the installation of cameras on Loyal Hill Pass without prior consultation, you suggest moving the cameras to protect residents' privacy while balancing crime reduction. How do you intend to ensure future government actions like this are more transparent and inclusive of community input?
Number one, when we look at the Loyal Hill issue, we'd have to ask ourselves a few questions to see if it made sense in the first place. From talking to the residents who have formed Neighborhood Watch for more than 10 years, there'd be no violent incidents as reported by them. Obviously, I would need to see what the police statistics are saying, but as reported by the community and the people who were at the town hall meeting on Thursday last, they were basically saying in 10 years more, no violent incidents, no housebreaking, no concerns for safety for the kids, no antisocial behavior in terms of people drinking and, you know, cursing and hanging out, loitering, stuff like that, speeding. So the reason for having CCTV cameras did not seem to fit with the experiences of persons in the neighborhood. Number one, so they did not appear to be a valid reason for them being there in the first place. So we would need to have a justifiable and quantifiable reason on why the cameras should be there in the first place. Risk of harm to persons and property, chronicity of that, etc. That did not appear to exist. So at the first instance, the rationale was not sound. Secondly, if you are going to put a camera in the neighborhood, it would make sense, understanding that it's potentially invasion of privacy and it can affect property values, et cetera, that you would want to speak to the Neighborhood Watch and members of the community directly impacted to find out, is there an actual need for this? One. Two, how do you feel about this? And through a collaborative approach, you would end up with meaningful information where you can make an informed decision that will meet the needs of health and safety for the community and bridge gaps between the criminal justice system, police in particular, and that community.
Right. And I feel like this isn't the first time where we've seen these kinds of issues where there's no public
The
consultation, things
schools,
are just
yeah, absolutely. The
just
schools,
gone
the
on.
fishermen, the taxis, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, just for clarification, how will you, if you became the sitting MP for the constituency 10, how would you ensure that public consultation of situations regarding your constituency are maintained in a transparent way?
Well, I've canvassed and I've spoken to the person, so I know what the issues are. Before any decision is going to be made, there's going to be consultation with them, getting information from the relevant authorities as well to make sure that any course of action is legal. It can be action based on resources, et cetera. So there's going to be an ongoing consultation, as there should be with a democratic process, because it means that we will, when we're implementing change strategies, will ensure that we've got the best possible information, the best people to go ahead and do the job. And, you know, sometimes the best solutions are the ones that we haven't thought of because we didn't have the right people in the area, in the room. So we can eliminate that. And what it actually does is it strengthens the ties with the community and the government and the community as a whole. And we've seen that in terms of trust in government, that has been greatly eroded because decisions are made behind closed doors, which don't make sense. So we have opportunities to do better. We can do better and we must do better for the community. With that mindset and that philosophy, people first, we will get it right.
100%. So, why do you believe that you are the best option for constituency 10?
I listen to the people in constituency 10. I've also, for the past 20 years, talked to my colleagues at work, I mentioned them earlier, and others about what I can do, my vision for the community, and how we basically, in an island this size, ought to be the best in everything: environmental, transportation, education, health, because of the size of the island. You know, we're multicultural, we've got guest workers who bring, a flavor to the island. I mean, many of us, if you go back in your family tree, maybe it's one generation, two generations Bermuda, but we've got such a treasure trove of knowledge and experience. Celebrating that, I believe that we are best when we celebrate and respect our differences. That's how I am. I'm not a person who seeks division. A person who seeks conciliation, collaboration, coordination. Always be that way. Whenever I'm interacting with people, I want that interaction to be something that I can take away from. I can take something away from it to improve and pass on to somebody else. Why am I the right person? Because my history, my friendships, the way I am, I'm naturally about service and I always have been. So I do it because of a love, a passion, a calling to do it, not for any other reason. When I was rolled out as a candidate, the very next day, I became a full-time politician. I was not fearful. I wasn't anxious. I felt like I was exactly in the place at the right time to do this work. I haven't felt so energized in a number of years, save when, got married, obviously, and then got into the field because I really feel that, if you're a spiritual person, like this is the time. I'm so excited to work with the incredible people of C-10. And that's what, that's the reason why I'm the best person, because I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
That's amazing. And I'm so happy to see such a large group of candidates who feel the same way, that there's passion within each of you. And I
Yeah,
think that not a lot of constituencies must feel that. So just to see that and be a witness to that, I really do appreciate you and all the other candidates for being
thank you.
passionate about C10 and being genuine about it.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
just to close everything out, I do have a fun icebreaker question. We always like to ask this question to our guests. Is if you could make one social law that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
I would say we have to do at least two random acts of kindness to a person that we ordinarily wouldn't.
I love that
Good.
answer.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for coming on to Bermuda Youth Connect's page.
Thank you so
And
much
we
for
look forward
having
to
me.
seeing all the amazing, oh, of course. And we look forward to seeing all the amazing things that you do. And we wish you all the best of luck on Wednesday, May 22nd. And if you are a constituent of C10, we do encourage you greatly to come and cast your vote on Wednesday, May 22nd. All right. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
To you as well.